What's up, Wolverines? I'm Terrence Matthews here on Coach's Corner. Today we're going to be interviewing the boys varsity soccer coach, Coach Erush. We're going to get to learn a little bit about him, a little bit about the team's strengths and weaknesses, and how they've been affected by COVID. Today's episode is going to be a great one. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thanks for having me. This is obviously a very special occasion and new to me, and I'm full of energy and excited to be on.
We're happy to have you here today. So first, we wanted to start off just by asking you a couple of questions, just personal things like just tell us about yourself, where you grew up, college experience, and how you came here to Harvard Westlake.
That's a great and lovely question. I always smile when people ask me that question. So for me, I was born and raised in Sherman Oaks / Studio City, California. Attended North Hollywood High School, was a JV basketball player and a varsity soccer player at the same time. So I was a dual sport athlete. Then I transferred to Birmingham High School, who just beat us quite handily on Friday. So, but it is what it is, and we move forward with it. So, grew up in Sherman Oaks, attended North Hollywood and Birmingham, was the LA Times Player of the Year and the Daily News Player of the Year here in the San Fernando Valley many, many years ago. Seems like it was just last week or last year. So, and then I attended Loyola Marymount University on a scholarship and played there and started, was the captain there for 2 years and was inducted into the LMU Hall of Fame about 3 years ago. So played undergrad there for 4 years, then played professional for 4 years. After playing pro for 4 years, I went into coaching about 17 years ago, got my master's degree from LMU as well, which brings me to April of 2021 here at Harvard Westlake. So going into my first season, excited, always had an eye for Harvard Westlake because it's one of the elite and most prestigious high schools, not only in the area, but in the country, and always had a passion for a high level athletic department. So for me, it's important and a great challenge, and more importantly, a great opportunity to get boys soccer to where they should be, hopefully sooner than later.
Well, clearly you're the right guy for the job after all those accolades you've earned so far.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we'll see. So it might take some time, but it's a process that I'm willing to be patient with. So it's gonna take some time, but it's a huge opportunity for me, and I accepted the challenge.
Absolutely. Now, Coach, do you have any sort of strategy going into the season, a type of play style that you really want to incorporate with the team?
Well, for me, first and foremost is getting to know the guys. I know I had some film from last year's games. They had a big recruiting senior class that graduated, and kind of more of a rebuilding year, trying to get to know everyone. I was here, at the end of last year, but we couldn't be on campus due to COVID. So, we're very limited with time and availability of what we can really do. So my goal for the last 2 or 3 weeks was to kind of figure out where players can play, what the best style is. And so we're starting to integrate a style of where we want to be very organized on and off the ball. We want to be very good teammates. I'm a family-oriented guy, and I think it's important for the kids to be with their teammates for almost every day when that's allowed. But the style is going to be very organized, very compact. We want to make it complicated. We want to wear teams down defensively, and then have opportunities to go forward, either in transition or on set pieces. But there's a few pieces missing that we're still trying to coach and implement in our style.
Very cool, very cool. Now, based off of you learning your players and learning your team so far, have you noticed any particular strengths, and if you want to, any particular weaknesses you might have?
Great question, Terrence. Great question. Trying to figure out on, one of the weaknesses, it's not a weakness, but when you graduate a lot of your seniors and your scoring power, you have to find out who's going to produce goals for you and assist. So for me, that's the challenge is who in this program can start providing some goals and assists this upcoming season. And our strength is going to be kind of in goal with Jason Salmarone, who's coming back, a very solid goalkeeper. I'm looking forward to working with him and helping us guide and defend with a strong back line. And obviously, like I mentioned, with Jason in the back line, that's going to be one of our strengths. And we want to be very, very hard to break down.
Now, Coach, being a new coach at Harvard Westlake, is it more about learning your players and really developing them this season, or is it more about learning your enemies, learning your other competition first?
I think there's twofold to it. The first one is obviously you want to get to know your team very well. So for me, as what I can control is I can control my team. I can't control the other team's game plan. So for me, is it's all about Harvard Westlake boys soccer. How can I maximize their performance on the field? And then with my additional staff and the support that I have, we do scouting. We scout our opponents. We'll get some video on them. We'll try to break it down and present to our teams through Zoom during these days, of course. But post COVID, hopefully have it in a classroom where we can present to them how the other team. But right now, for me, like my short term goal is to get to know my team, their strengths, and maximize them, and then get the weaknesses to become a little bit stronger. So that's kind of, it's all about us, and I'm not worried about our opponents yet. But in future years, can that change? Possibly. But during a COVID year, it's we're very limited. It's a short season. The kids are also playing club soccer, so we can only control what we can, and that's how I go moving forward with the season.
Now, what has been the biggest challenge you as a soccer program have faced so far?
Besides COVID, or or without COVID?
A little bit of both, with COVID, without COVID.
I mean, with COVID, it's basically the obvious. It's getting to know the kids, getting to see them play more often. We have multiple sports starting at the same time, so it's hard to get into a bigger field. So we're limited. So that's a big challenge for me because being a new coach here at Harvard Westlake, you want to do very well and compete for championships. So for me, it's like I said, it's a process, but I want to compete for championships immediately. And Terrence, did you mention like life challenges as well? Is that what you're referring to, or just Harvard Westlake?
Just Harvard Westlake, but if you would like to go into some life challenges, that's fine as well.
I mean, it's a unique story, so I'd like to share it sometimes. I was obviously born and raised in Sherman Oaks, but one of the reasons I transferred out is because I was hanging around with bad company, I would say, and I didn't have good grades. I was a kid that got into trouble, and what changed my life and what I tell my student athletes that I work with is I got a recruiting letter from UCLA Soccer. At the time, they were, top 5 program. I was on the national team. I had soccer, soccer was going big and well for me. I had Notre Dame, Indiana, UCLA recruiting me. And as soon as I got that letter, the switch came on. My grades started to get better. I transferred. I focused more on soccer and let basketball go. So for me, it was a life-changing moment where I could have gone a different path, but yet this letter, a recruiting letter, changed my life, and I became obviously where I am today if it wasn't for that letter. So very thankful for that opportunity, and that was a challenge for me, is to overcome, the I guess my negative upbringing through my childhood and my teenage years.
It's quite the inspiring story, Coach. Now, for our last question, we know that what team you support professionally can make or break certain relationships with people. So we wanted to know if you had any sort of favorite professional team, a team that you really like or follow.
I love that question, Terrence. Um, there's no one better right now. They're obviously on a winning streak. They're one of the best teams, Manchester City. So I know I have a lot of United fans, probably as parents, as player support. Huge rivalry. I would debate. I would argue who's the best at the moment and in the past. So I'm a huge Man City fan. I'm a huge Laker fan. I'm a huge sports junkie. My nickname in college was Sports Center because I knew every score of every game. I knew standings. When I'm not with family and with Harvard Westlake, I'm watching soccer or playing soccer. So staying engaged and people say, what do you do? I'm like, soccer, soccer, and more soccer. So very passionate, somewhat crazy, addicted to working and getting our student athletes to achieve greatness on and off the field.
Well, thank you for all your time, Coach. We appreciate you coming on Coach's Corner this week. Um, Hope to see you soon. Hope to have you back. Hope the best with your season so far. And thank you again.
Terrence, it's my pleasure. You can always ask me to be on here. And again, when times are normal, I like everyone to come out and support Harvard Westlake boys soccer and get them back to the elite status that I would like to one day. So thank you, guys.
No problem. This has been Terrence Matthews on Coach's Corner. Have a good day.